Hello, everyone. Happy Monday to you all. I hope that you had an excellent weekend and that all of the good feelings and good vibes from that are continuing and pouring over into Monday. Because what's Monday anyway? But a word that we all made up. All right. My name is Tomas Garza, and welcome to A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. I've got a really fun show in store for you today. As you may know, every Monday on the show, I take a pause from the workbook for students in A Course in Miracles that we're going through here every day, and I focus on an aspect of life. I do. I focus on an aspect of life through a spiritual lens. In other words, because this is a Course in Miracles that we're talking about, through the lens and through the thought system of the Course itself. And these are really wonderful, wonderful live streams because they offer some practical considerations for us. Now, in the workbook, there are very practical considerations. Also, as you may know, each idea that we go through here is very short, it's very succinct and memorable. And we read about that, we talk about that here on the live. And the idea is you go forth and practice it. In other words, you take the idea and apply it. So, one of these ideas that I've been talking about, in fact, one of the themes that I've been talking about throughout the past 6 months has been choosing love. All right, choosing love. A lot of people talk about that, don't they? A lot of people talk about it. People sing about it. They write poetry about it. They write Facebook posts and compose tweets about it and everything. But what exactly are we talking about here? This is a really valuable question. And because I say this almost every day, I really do, I talk about the choice that we make almost every day between love and fear. And it's worth, because it's going to come up again. Any day this could come up because it's the choice that we have to make. So why not spend a little bit of additional time here today on the live stream discussing just this? So let me start off with the premise. If you've heard this before, good. Hear it again. Every spiritual teacher in the world repeats himself or herself. That is simply the way that we need to do it, right? We're all adult learners. We do, each of us, need to hear things many, many times. So, if you're just tuning in, first of all, welcome. Secondly, we have a choice every moment of every day. Moment to moment, we can choose either love or fear. That is it. We have a choice, one choice between two thought systems, between two modes of being. One is real, one is not. One is helpful, the other is not. One is life-giving and life-affirming, the other is completely destructive. And naturally, we can guess which one is life-affirming. And that would be the choice of love. So what do I actually mean by that? What does the Course actually mean by that? Well, we have to talk about what passes for love here in the world, in our human relationships, our relationships to ourselves. Let's not leave that out. Our relationships to one another and our relationships to the world in general, groups of people, everything here. We spend a lot of time in any society focused on relationships, romantic relationships, and that's what most people think of when they think of the word relationships. And also, that's what so many people think of when they think of love. Problem with that is nothing against a wonderful, loving, and if you want to throw in hot, sexy, romantic relationship, yeah, throw that in there. Nothing against that. The problem is that that cannot be our definition of love. Why? It's limited. It's limited, right? By nature, it's a closed system. Think about it. A romantic relationship with one person is limited to just that one person. So I am saying that it is a form of tribalism. The Course calls it a special relationship. There are people in our lives, in our system of constant value judgment, that qualify, according to our deluded minds, for special love, like our partner, like our spouse, like our kids, our family members, our own political party. How about that? Yeah. Special relationships where there's a cool kids club and then there's everybody else who's not in the club. Yeah. Think about it. The ego has devised many, many, many ways of separation. This is one of them. So, what passes for love here in the world is limited. Now, contrast this with love with a capital L, real love, what love actually is. And if you think about it, it makes absolute total sense. It's abstract. Even in the context of a special relationship, let's say someone lives in a different country and loves someone in another country, right? Or there are social, geographical barriers, there's communication barriers. Love doesn't care about any of those. It flows right across and through those boundaries as though they didn't exist. And guess what? They don't, in truth, exist. Love knows no opposite. It's all there is. That's love. It's completely abstract. It's not limited to a given situation with one person or a group of people or a political party. Okay. It's not limited to that. Now, am I saying you must agree with the other side and engage them in a fruitful dialogue at all times, 24/7, despite all of the hateful rhetoric that spews from the other side's mouth? Now, I'm talking both sides here, guys. There are many sides. Yeah, no, I'm not saying that you have to do that. Healthy boundaries are wonderful. Just know that when you choose love, it's what we're talking about is love with a capital L. The love that flows around and through and does not recognize limitations of any kind. Guess what? God, being love, recognizes no limitations of any kind. So when we're choosing real love, we're calling on the power of God. What else would we be calling on? Yeah, we're calling on the power of ourself, capital S, right? As the Son of God, in other words, one with God, the extension of God, in other words, who we really are. We're calling upon the only power that truly exists. Remember, and if you're new to A Course in Miracles, the very beginning of the text sums the Course up saying, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. All right? Love cannot be threatened. Anything that is not love does not exist in truth. Therein lies the peace of God, which is what we're seeking here in the world. What else would we be seeking? I mean, are we seeking hot sex with somebody? Okay, maybe, but I mean, that, doesn't last forever. It's not everlasting. More money? Yeah. Yeah, nicer wardrobe, better car, a better dishwasher. Who knows, right? We seek all kinds of things in the world. And yeah, they have some value. They have the value that we give to them here in the world. But when the Course talks about choosing love, we're talking about choosing ourself with a capital S. Love with a capital L, not what passes for love here in the world, such as a weekend fling or a shopping trip on Rodeo Drive, yeah, a romantic relationship. I mean, even if you're in a beautiful romantic relationship, as I am, they don't last. Why we leave the body behind? Seriously. That's neither depressing nor macabre nor anything. It's simply true. So when we choose love, we choose the peace of God. So how do we choose it? Well, number one, I could and do suggest that you study your spiritual practice. My job here in this world is to help you get in touch with your inner teacher. Let me repeat that. My job here as a spiritual teacher is to help you get in touch with your inner teacher. Whatever that looks like for you, whomever this may be, whomever you may call your teacher or teachers, you may see them as plural. And if you do, no problem. I invite and encourage you to study and practice your tradition. This may or may not include A Course in Miracles. Does for me, it's the centerpiece of my spirituality, and maybe it is for you, or maybe it is a key component of that. Maybe it is a wonderful adjunct or a supplement. There are many, many people in this world who continue their own tradition, their own spiritual tradition, their own religious tradition, and take full advantage of the wisdom and the teachings of this course to help supplement their walk, to help shed light on their own path, to help with a deeper understanding. This is 100% possible. This course is a self-study curriculum, not a religion. One is not required to adopt or give up anything in order to profit and to benefit spiritually from this remarkable, remarkable thought system. So how do we choose love? Well, practice, spiritual practice, commit to it. You know what that looks like for you, so I invite you to do that, whatever that is. Everyone's welcome here. Every tradition is more than welcome. We're talking universal spirituality with A Course in Miracles, by the way, so practice. Now, one thing that came to my mind this morning that I want to share here while I'm live is that we should be aware as we go forward in life. We should, and we really do need to be aware of the question of, are we creating the causes and conditions to make the choice of love over fear easier? In other words, are we putting ourselves in a peaceful enough, relatively speaking, of course, are we putting ourselves in a peaceful enough mental, emotional, psychological environment so that the choice of love seems more obvious? Now, habitual tendencies have us choosing fear, in other words, the ego, all of the time. We lash out at people, we get annoyed, we say things, we judge. Happens all the time. Everybody does that. Yeah. So the question is, are we creating more peaceful circumstances for ourselves? So what does that mean? Well, our emotions, our feelings have a lot to tell us. They have a lot to tell us. I was just writing in my journal this morning about this. This is something that my wife Cindy and I do. Yeah, behind me here, we've got a pool, and it's Phoenix, Arizona. So we've got some really wonderful and lush, I should say, tropical and subtropical vegetation around the pool. And it's a really wonderful place to sit in the morning and have morning coffee, which is part of our routine. That's part of why I don't do this live stream before 9 o'clock Arizona time ever. You will never see me before 9 o'clock. Just saying. And it's not because I have to do my hair, obviously. It's because this time is so important. So as I was journaling this morning, I was really grateful for the rains that we've had recently. Now, Phoenix, of course, is in the desert of the United States Southwest. It's in the Sonoran Desert, and it's a very dry, very hot climate in July, which is summer in the Northern Hemisphere. So temperatures are often over 110 degrees or 40 degrees Celsius or more. So when it rains, it's a beautiful thing. And we've had a decent amount of rain, including last night. And I remember, because I grew up in a neighboring state, the neighboring state of New Mexico, also the desert, different climate for sure, but still dry and sunny. And I remember when we were kids, when a thunderstorm would come, when a rain would come, rather than seek to run inside, we became fascinated with it and grateful for it because the land, the plants, the water courses all desperately, desperately needed it. And they always do in the desert. So what happened was I went off to live in a very different climate for 23 years. I'm talking about the US state of Oregon, which is a rainy, the part that I lived in anyway, is a rainy and dark climate. So I found myself every day in the standpoint of wishing for something that was not in front of me. I found myself wanting to get away from the darkness. I found myself wanting to get away from an oppressive low marine layer of clouds that brings a lot of rain from October to May. Look, I'm in Oregon, is beautiful, and a lot of my friends and family, my kids live there. So it's a wonderful and beautiful place. After 23 years of that, I was done. In fact, I was done well before that time. So my point as I was writing is that it's really nice to be able to see a rainfall and to give thanks for it and love where I live. For me, this is very important. It's the start of a day in a place of gratitude and a place of vibrancy and energy, rather than wishing to get away from your circumstances. This, for me, was climate and weather. Now, this could be your job. It could be your career. And it very, very well could be, for some of you, your own personal relationship. Could be your partner, your spouse. Yeah. Are you creating the causes and conditions for authentic spiritual growth? Are you creating the causes and conditions of being able to choose love more willingly, more freely, and more readily? We don't function well if we're a disaster. Now, unfortunately, in many societies worldwide, being a disaster is somehow a badge of honor. It's a cultural badge of honor that's sick and twisted. I mean, you are welcome to disagree with me on that, but I mean, really, it's a twisted way of looking at things to be in love with your own personal chaos. It's destructive. It's destructive to each and every one of us. So I have no problem saying that. Are we creating the causes and conditions that allow for us to choose love? Whatever that looks like for you, I invite you to think about that and ask yourself that. And of course, continue your spiritual practice, whatever that is. If it's yoga, do more yoga. Yeah. I mean, be more thoughtful, mindful, deliberate, committed to that. If it's your meditation practice, if it's a practice of prayer or reading of scriptures or devotionals or A Course in Miracles, right? And it could be the text of A Course in Miracles. It could be doing these workbook exercises that we're working on here every day. And whatever that looks like for you, It's so, so important. And what I aim to do here on the live stream is give you some examples of why that's so important. Because as we get swept up in day-to-day life and the demands of the world and our social media feed and the news and responsibilities that each of us has here and that we are unable to neglect, nor should we neglect them, like paying the light bill and feeding ourselves, things like that. It's really very important that we continue to practice and understand that there is one choice. It appears there are many choices that we have to make in the world. There's one. It's love or fear. And are you choosing love? So thank you all for tuning in here today on Enlightened World Network. Tomorrow we jump right back into the workbook for students. And I want to invite you to share this if this is of value to you. The network would very much appreciate any shares. This is a wonderful network full of beautiful spiritual themed programming for any variety of audience. So there are a number of wonderful shows here. This is just one of them. So your shares are much appreciated. Leave a comment here if you're catching me on the replay. Let me know where you're joining me from. Say hello. And if you have questions or comments, feel welcome to leave them here. All right, guys, I will see you back here tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.